Today's video is a fun one. It's actually about receiving. And a lot of the times when we're manifesting things, we stand in our own way to receiving. And I'm going to share with you guys some of the ways that I have identified where I was receiving a lot. And then I went through a whole block period where I wasn't receiving anything. And then I healed it again and then started receiving. If you want to hear about how to be in alignment to receive, then please keep watching. So growing up, I didn't have a lot of limiting beliefs that actually stuck with me. Well, that I thought. Because growing up, my grandmother taught me, so my dad's mom, who I was close to, she raised me. She taught me meditation. She helped shield my energy. She helped cleanse my energy with smoke a lot of times, many times, especially when I was around certain people. I guess she kind of knew that people were projecting onto me. And she was very, very protective of my energy. I think a lot of people didn't understand why. And I don't think I understood why at the time either until now. I understand now. As you guys know, I mentioned it in my last video that I don't associate with my dad's side of the family. And I get now why she was doing all this energy work on me all the time. But one of the things that I didn't realize subconsciously, there was some struggles in my mind that I was holding on to that I didn't know until I got involved with my ex-husband. So let me tell the story, and maybe this might resonate with some. Now, when I was in my teen years, I didn't have any blockages when it came to receiving. In fact, when my brother was in elementary school and I was in high school, I was picking him up from school because my parents worked a lot. I remember one day I was picking him up from school and he said, "Hey Pam, there's a carnival that's going to be happening next Friday. Do you think we can go?" And I said, "Yeah, I think we can go. We'll have to mention it to Dad. He may want to come with us. And we can all go together." And he's like, "Okay." I was like, "Are you going to do any of the carnival things, or is there certain things you wanted to do there?" And he's like, "Yeah, can we just go and look?" And I said, "Okay, let's go." So a week went by and it was that Friday for the carnival. I picked up my brother and then I took him home and we started getting ready to go to the carnival. And my dad did attend with us the first time. Through the carnival, I said, "Are you going to do any of the cool carnival things, or you just want to take a look around?" Because my brother was outgoing but also shy at the same time, which is really funny. And he's like, "Let's just take a look around and see what's going on." And I said, "Okay." And I remember when we went inside, they had this contest section, which was all winning gifts and gift certificates, and they had baskets of things. And I said to my brother, I said, do you want to go into the raffles and also the contest winnings?" And he's like, "Okay, let's walk around and look at the baskets." And I said, "Okay, you pick which ones you want me to play, and I will buy a contest books and put our names in the ballots." So he looks around, he's like, "I want this one, this one, this." And I pretty much pointed at everything. And I was like, "Okay, let's," so I had money in my purse and I said, "Okay, I'm going to buy a book of ballots," because he picked pretty much everything. And so I put my name in every single ballot because this was for the adults only. And I would see myself, playing these things with my brother. For example, one was for crafts, and I was like, "Oh, me and my brother can enjoy doing this together." And then I saw one for salsa kits, and I was like, "Okay, I could see me making salsa and guacamole for me and him," because we do movie nights every Friday, and that I take him to rent a movie every week back when there was still rental movie places, not just streaming. Pretty much put a ballot in every single one because that was his thing. He picked almost everything. And and he said to me, turned around, he's like, "Do you think we'll win anything?" And I said, "Well, I guess we'll see what happens." So that night I went out and got us a movie, and he brought it up again. He's like, "Do you think we'll win anything from the carnival?" I said, "How about you let me worry about winning at the carnival? Don't worry about it. I'm sure we'll get something." I put our names in one of each of the ballots, right? And one of each of the things. So I'm sure there's one of them will win. And the weekend went by. On Monday afternoon, when I was heading to go pick him up, I get a call from the school, my brother's school. And it was the receptionist. And she said, "Hi, is this Pamela?" And I said, "Yes." "Pamela, you won some prizes at the carnival. Are you able to come pick them up today?" And I said, "Oh, I'm coming to pick up my brother in half an hour. How about I stop off at the office first?" And so I get it back into the car because now I'm thinking, oh, if there's prizes, I better go do that first. And then, and she said, "Yeah, just please make sure you park at the front." So I walked in and I left the car and walked in, and she goes, and I go, "Hi, it's Pamela." She said, "Hi, Pamela, I hope you have room in your car." And I said, okay, I guess I want a basket. I said, yeah, there should be enough room. She goes, yeah, because you want all 6 baskets plus extra gift certificates. And I was like, oh my God. We won all 6 baskets, and the baskets were the size of a laundry basket. 6 of them. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, that's not going to fit in my car. First off, I didn't have any trucks back then, okay? You guys, I had a hand-me-down car that was a Pontiac, like a Pontiac little car. That was a hand-me-down from my grandmother on my mom's side. And that was my first car at 16. My parents didn't buy me anything fancy. I got a hand-me-down car. The first car that I had that they gave me broke down at my brother's school that my dad had to come jumpstart and get it running because it wouldn't run. And so I'm thinking to myself, oh God, I'm not going to be able to, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to fit all this baskets in my car, and my brother and me. So I put as many as I could. I'm in my work clothes because I was going to go to work after, and I'm carrying them with my high heel. And I close the door, and I see my brother is walking, and he goes, Pam, you have to go to the office. We won stuff. And I was like, yeah. And then he looked past me and he goes, oh boy, how are we going to sit? And I said, yeah, it's kind of squashed in there. And I said, Dylan, by the way, I'm going to have to drop you home and come back because I could only fit 3 baskets and we got 3 more. And he's like, we won 3 more? And I'm like, yeah, we won all of them. He's like, how did we do that? Well, at the time I didn't know how I did it, but I'll share with you what I did. Got us home, and I drove back to go pick up the last 3 baskets and whatever other things, the random things we had won. And then the next year it happened again. You're not going to believe this. It happened again. I did the same thing. I had my brother walk through, and I said, pick out which ones you want. And he obviously picked everything. And so I did the same thing. I bought a book of ballots, and the same thing happened. I won all 6 baskets. And you might be asking, Pam, how the heck did you do that? I'm going to tell you how. I pictured, even before I knew the secret, even before I knew anything, any of the books that I recommended in my last video, I believed, first of all, because I saw me and my brother really happy, and we were already happy because we were at the carnival. I would see us using all the things, and that's how I think we won. And then my brother, because he added his own excitement, it amplified everything, and we brought it to fruition. That's how it was done. But I didn't know at the time that this is what was happening. When I turned 19, I met my ex-husband, and everything shifted. I had no idea that I was about to get involved with a man that had very strong karmic energy and was going to repeat an ancestral pattern that I had manifested. Basically someone that was like my dad. And I'll explain what I'm talking about. So when I met my ex, he did not like to celebrate birthdays, not mine nor his. And I'll tell you something. If someone doesn't want to celebrate your birthday, but you celebrate theirs, please run. Because what that creates is a blockage in your energy field that brings down your self-worth and your value. And I'm not saying just because of the gifts. It's out of self-respect and appreciation. Because if someone cannot celebrate you as a person, celebrate your wins, because even when I had wins, he wouldn't celebrate them. He made comments even for my YouTube channel that you guys wanted to see more of me than him. And it was like this very strong jealous energy. And so I started recognizing that after, and it reminded me so much of my dad that I had no idea this at the beginning when me and him met, that I was playing a karmic role, that I basically became like my mom and he was more like my dad. My dad never gave me gifts for my birthday. He never gave me gifts for my birthday. There was one birthday, and I'll post it right here, that we went out for dinner, and it was because I cried the year before. Yeah. And then we never celebrated birthdays. The only thing he celebrated was Christmas. And this was not because of religious reasons. So if anyone's thinking, oh, maybe he was religious. No, he didn't practice, but he came from a Mormon background, and they celebrate birthdays. If you've watched The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, they celebrate birthdays. They celebrate. What I'm trying to say is it was a tough go. And I thought, oh, maybe it's just me that maybe it's just my self-worth. Nobody wants to celebrate my birthday. Like my dad never did, in the sense of buying me gifts. And it's not about the gifts, it's about the appreciation. And and I carried that for a long time. That's probably why my guides dropped the secret in front of me. That's probably why I was led to different healers. That's probably why it was trying to teach me, like, Pam, don't let go of your spirituality. Don't let go of your self-worth. Don't let go of these things that your value of you as a person, you as a soul deserves. So when I turned almost 30, I was going through separation. What happened after that was huge. As soon as I let go of that karmic energy that represented my dad and healed from it, I made a promise to myself that I would not get involved with anyone else if they had a mirror effect, meaning if they resembled my dad, my ex, or anyone of that energy, I would not get involved. And so I started doing the healing work, and I started doing the inner child healing. And that's when you hear me talk about me doing hypnotherapy, equine therapy, things like that. I'll post some pictures of the equine therapy healing. Basically, what I was doing was retraining my subconscious mind to allow myself to receive again, because I went through a wound and a triggering. And so how I believe life to be is anything that's happening within will be projected out. And obviously I did hang on to some things of my dad, the projections of my dad, because I manifested in a partner that I had. And until I healed those, I had already made a promise I was not going to get in a relationship. When did the receiving start to open again? Because it did. In 2021, I started working with high-grade essential oils. And because people have told me many, many times, and I had heard about this since 2018, that essential oils help to raise your consciousness and your vibration. As long as they're high grade, therapeutic grade, they still hold the plant essence. It's not gone. So I started working with very, very high grade essential oils, which I have behind me in the diffuser. And that started to raise my vibration. And I worked with oils for forgiveness. I worked with oils for self-worth. And it started working. I started using tapping also with the oils, and it amplified. And by 2023, I started receiving again. I started receiving tips from clients again. I started receiving gifts again. I started receiving compliments again. That energy emanating. I started letting go of friends that were holding me back. I started letting things come to me again. In 2024, again, things started picking up again. In 2025, same thing. And then it started normalizing. And now I'm to the point where it's become normalized again. And I made a promise to myself, again, I will not let anyone come between me and receiving. Because the reason why is, if you're not open to receiving, you're not bringing that channel into your life, meaning opportunities will be blocked. This is not just about money. This is not just about gifts. Opportunities will be blocked from you. Because what I was receiving when I was consciously trying to receive, me consciously trying to visualize, especially back in my last relationship, I would visualize living by the ocean. I would visualize clients. I had to do it. It wasn't just like normalized. Now I'm at the point where it just normalized. Just like the time I told you the story about me and my brother going out. It was just normal, at the carnival, right? But when I met my ex, it had to be deliberate manifestations where it wasn't instant. I had to work through all those blockages. But then after that block left my life, it dissolved. That whole energy dissolved. Did a lot of Reiki healing, cord cutting, things like that. And it took years. I'm not saying it happened overnight, okay? This is not an overnight success story. Definitely not. And then when I started to retrain and things like that, things started to manifest again. And now it's at the point where it normalizes and I don't have to think about it. And now if there's things that I want to dream bigger, then I can bring the manifestation tools back into my life. But be very careful who you surround yourself with. Be very careful who you share your manifestations with. Be very careful who you also choose as your life partner. Those are the main things that I learned. And now I'm going to share with you guys a couple of books that also helped me. So the first one, that right after The Secret, I started getting into the Abraham Hicks books. So this is the Esther and Jerry Hicks, Ask and It Is Given. This book helped me to get to the next level of The Secret. And I read this while I was still in that partnership. And I'll tell you, it kept me to always focus inward, heal dynamics. And, it was a hard journey, because even looking back, I'm like, oh my God, I had dealt with a lot. And yeah, this book taught me about even emotions, that manifestations and things like that are tied to our emotions as well. And then later in life, I learned about the David Hawkins scale of vibration, and that's when I started working with oils, being in the higher vibrational states and things like that, because smells also can raise your vibration because they give you good feelings. There's certain smells that are related to giving good feelings, so remember that. And I'll share more about the essential oils that I've used in other videos, later videos. And this one here, this is one of my most OG favorite books. This is The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. This book, I would never lend this to anyone. The reason why I'm telling you is that this book reprogrammed my thinking. It helped me to understand creative visualization. It helped me to understand that our subconscious mind holds on to things for years, even if we don't know that we're playing it in our back of our mind, until it manifests in our reality as someone that we know, or a belief system that that has been projected onto us. Our minds are very powerful, and unless we tune it to our own frequency and tune it to our own beliefs, it holds on to things. So this was huge. And so was when I got that one, I also of Joseph Murphy's, and this one's really good too. Putting the Power of Your Subconscious Mind to Work. This one helped me to work on goals when it came to my own business and career. These books helped me to reshape my thinking process, and it didn't happen overnight. It's been a progress. It's been happening for a while, and even when I was, even when I didn't understand where the blocks was coming from, these helped me to identify my own receiving blocks, because you have to be so careful, especially if you're working towards something and you're very goal orientated and you're focused. This is why you see people not share a lot of things that they're working towards, is because not everyone is going to be happy for you, and not everyone is going to be aligned with what you're working towards. Again, these aren't just about receiving windfalls. This isn't just about money. This isn't just about abundance. This is about you, your life. This is about what you want to receive. And if those are the things you want to receive, then you should be able to receive them, because you deserve it. Especially if you're working hard towards something and you do not want to let anyone become a block in your way, especially when you're doing all the hard work. Pay attention to how people react to your wins. That will tell you a lot. If they're there when you're down, but they can't be there when you're in your highest, expression of yourself, they were never there in the first place to be in your corner. I'm telling you, I have been through a lot, and I've seen some not supportive people, not supportive friends. Same with family members. You guys know the story. I've shared it in my last video, shared it in other videos too, is be very careful who you surround yourself with, especially if you're trying to do something that's different. I want to thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it resonated with you. And if you like these types of videos and you want to see more, then please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.